I always dab. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today is a makeup video. I know that we did a lot of pregnancy chit chat in the last couple of weeks. I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on where I've been at because I have not been able to talk about it for 3 months, but we are back to your regularly scheduled programming, and today we are going to be focusing on a highly anticipated set of releases. Two of my favorite clean beauty brands, being ILIA and KOSAS, have come out with powder bronzers, I believe for the first time for each of these brands, and they dropped at just about the same darn time, and ILIA also put out a highlighter right with them. So the reason that this has taken so long is because ILIA had a little snafu with their shipping. They sent me an empty box by accident, and then when I reached out to them, they were amazingly helpful, and they refunded my money, and they just sent this to me kind of as a gift. So I really appreciate that. They wrote me a really sweet note to go with it. Absolutely no harm, no foul, but that's why the video is a little bit behind. So this is not a first impression. I have tried all of these before, and I'm going to apply them on either side of my face today and kind of give you guys all of my thoughts on them, how they apply, how they wear, instances I think that they work best in, and things like that. But just because these are the new ones doesn't mean that I don't completely acknowledge the fact that you guys are going to be curious how they stack up to the other bronzers that already exist in my collection and the ones that I love. And so I'm going to swatch them against all of the other powder bronzers that I have that I really like, just so that you guys can see for reference how they compare, and even probably some highlights. So guys, I have my whole complexion on. I look a little bit kind of ghostly and also a little bit Tommy Pickles at the moment. Let's get some makeup on my face. Let's go ahead and get started. How are y'all doing? I slept for 3 hours in the middle of the day yesterday. I would like to say it was good, but it honestly just made me into a zombie, and I could do it again today. All right, so the first thing that I noticed about all of these is that they are, well, they all say that they're talc-free, but the first ingredient on all of them is also mica. I am assuming that it's child labor-free, sustainably, responsibly sourced mica. Again, we'll read on the website and things like that, but let's go ahead and get to applying here. We're gonna go KOSAS. Nope, we're gonna go ILIA on this side because it's the one that I'm holding in my hand right now. And one of the first things that I noticed about these is that they are not bronzers. They are completely bronzers. As you can see, we are talking about some very warm color here. And these do come in multiple shades, both of them. This one comes in 2 shades, I think. And this one might come in 3, maybe just 2. I'll have to take a look. But they, obviously, I got the pale ones. Anything's gonna be pretty high contrast on me, and I'm just gonna kind of apply this in a dabbing motion because I'm sorry, I have never met a bronzer that really takes kindly to swiping it on your face. Like, that's a really easy way to make any bronzer look like it performs poorly. It's just be like try and buff it on. You're gonna be like, it's so patchy. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but it's like the first thing that goes on my face after my complexion products. Just the contrast is going to be alarming, and so I always just try and have a nice light hand with my first application of bronzer. And then, you know, the light hand goes completely out the window with blush. But anyway, so the call out about this being kind of a bronzer, well, kind of a bronzer, it's a bronzer but not a contour, is because there are bronzers in my collection that I feel like you can do both with, and without getting too painterly on you guys, it's hard, not impossible, but hard to create a really believable shadow where you're trying to create an illusion on your face with something that is warm, cool, tones recede from the eye. It's just how it works. I don't make the rules. And so when you have something this warm, it's not going to double as a contour. You can't just start kind of like cutting your cheeks with it. It's going to basically give you a sun-kissed glow, and that's the point. And we talked about this in my Fenty video, or my try-on haul for my Sephora haul sale. Did you guys get that? It was the Sephora sale haul. Most of it was Fenty. With that cream bronzer, I did really like it, but it's very similar to this in tone, where it's just kind of a little on the orange side. And that is not necessarily like a flaw in the product. I think it has to do with the fact that I am not blonde anymore. And now that I have like my natural color and it's just this sort of like neutral in between lightish brown color, it doesn't lend itself as well to me kind of warming my complexion up really aggressively like I used to be able to. Maybe I'm completely in the dark and it looked terrible the whole time, which is entirely possible, but I just feel like this is a little bit more incongruous than it used to be, which is, I don't know, it's interesting to me. So I did use contour. I did do a cream contour when I did my complexion. I used Biscuit from Westman Atelier. I got some criticism the last time that I talked about this, saying that nobody could understand what I was saying. The brand is Westman Atelier by Gucci Westman. That is that. I'll hold off on the highlight for a moment, but I like the ILIA's texture on the skin. I feel like it does a really good job of blurring, and even though mica is the first ingredient, we don't get that Tin Man sheen. That said, I feel like I'm kind of spoiling it a little bit here. I got the shade Light, shocking, in the KOSAS, and we're gonna go ahead with that same brush, and I'm gonna do the same technique and just kind of dab that. They are very similar in tone, very similar in tone. Just that super warm bronze, not a contour. But something that you will notice as I'm applying this is that this catches the light in a different way, and that is because it has quite a bit of shimmer in it, and that is just a choice that they made, you know? They don't have a companion highlight that came out with this the way that ILIA did, although they do have highlighters. They just happen to be in their little like duo palettes, and we will get to that in a second. I think that they just kind of tried to combine forces here, and in the past I have been a big fan of a shimmer bronzer because I do feel like they blend more easily, but I think that a shimmer bronzer also needs to be less pigmented in order for you to be able to kind of get that spreadability without laying down too much pigment all at once. And I just feel like I'm in danger with the KOSAS of getting real shiny real fast and accentuating texture, and I don't really have that much texture. All right, so like I said, I don't think that that is the most natural looking bronze on me. It's just not something that looks like it would naturally occur, and that is why I'm gonna swatch this against some other bronzers real quick, and then we'll go with the rest of my face. So you can see this is the ILIA and this is the KOSAS. They're very, very different from each other. You can see the ILIA is gonna have just a lot of pigmentation and it's a lot more matte, and the KOSAS is literally like almost a highlighter. It's just a deep bronzy highlighter. Luckily for me, and probably luckily for you guys, because we're not gonna have just an ages-long video here, I don't own that many powder bronzers. I kind of find one I like and then stick with it. So yeah, the three that I have that are worth comparing to this are 2 from Thrive and 1 from Arrive. That was not a planned rhyme, but here, you know, same as we were talking about. So we have the ILIA and the KOSAS, and then we have, this is EOS from Thrive, and it is sort of their shimmery bronzer. I think that mine is like kind of stiffened up. I just hardly ever use it. And then this is Rhea from Thrive, which I use quite a bit. And you can see, even though I did a really inconsistent swatch of this, it is a lot more cool toned than these, and it's deeper. And I feel like even though it is deeper, I can still wear this and get a believable kind of bronzer out of it. I just prefer it because it's a little bit more neutral, but I have to say, this one is the winner. Arrive, I mean, they say it in the actual description for this product that they were keeping in mind that you probably would want some neutral undertones in there, if not even some cool undertones. And it does, it just translates to a much more, I think, believable bronze on me. I just think it's a better bronzer for me, a better formula. It is not particularly shimmery, even though its first ingredient is also mica. And they did reach out to me and they told me that their mica is actually, they confirmed that it is child labor free, sustainably sourced, and everything like that. It also has like a tiny bit of rosiness to it. There's just something about that that agrees with my skin. That's talking shade values. Talking about actual formulas, I have to say I prefer the ILIA. I just think that it has a better application, it's more blurring, you have more control. Let's talk about some highlighters. I didn't even realize I have my C-bands on. It's such a look. Okay, so this is Decades Daylight Highlighting Powder, and it's beautiful. So, ooh, yes, it's got kind of a neutral gold thing to it. And we're going to apply that with just my big like Wayne Goss brush that I use to apply, you know, my base for my eyeshadow and stuff. I found this to be very agreeable. It's creamy, even though it does have, and when I say creamy, I mean not glittery. So it does add a believable, you know, maybe a little better than believable sheen to your skin without feeling like you're adding a bunch of pigment or that you're gonna overdo it really quickly. And I am giving it away already, but I really, really like this. As far as the kinds of highlighters that tend to go a little bit gold, I think that this one stays in a really, really nice neutral territory that works on very pale skin like mine, and could probably work all the way up to like a medium skin tone. So the other one is hard to compare because KOSAS has updated all of their blush duos so that they actually have a coordinating highlight that goes with all of the blushes, so they're different shade to shade to shade. So I just have the one that goes with Papaya 1972, and that's going to be different from other ones, but it is definitely not as highlight-y. It doesn't have as much glitter to it. It's almost more of a pigment highlight, and that doesn't bother me at all one bit. I like it very, very much. I think the formula on this is beautiful, but to my knowledge, they don't have a one pan, you know, buy it on its own highlighter. Typically what I would do once I've got my bronzer and my blush and everything like that on is I will typically go in with the Well People Bio-Based Baked Brightener, say that 10 times fast, in Universal Glow, shade 1. You can see this thing is well loved. The little baked dome is completely gone at this point, and this just helps pale gals like me blend that high contrast without adding more pigmentation. I feel like it's just sort of a mixing medium that helps blend everything onto the skin. If like you just, I don't know, trying to get it in the places you wanted it, you put it in some places you didn't want it. And a lot of times I can use that to kind of brighten my under eyes and stuff like that too. And it does have a little bit of a sheen quality to it, but it's definitely not a highlighter, at least in my opinion. So let's go ahead and swatch that ILIA highlighter against the KOSAS highlighter just for reference. And then I also want to swatch it against like my Cover FX, which is one that, you know, I wear all the time. All right, this is actually really interesting. So we have the ILIA new highlighter. This is the KOSAS, the one that's pre-existing in the Papaya 1972 palette. This is the Milk Makeup Flex Highlighter in Lit, this one right there. And it is so ultra beautiful. I'm really, really glad that I picked that one up at the Sephora sale. This super, super sparkly one that you're seeing is probably like the magpies out there. They're like, what is that? That is the Aether Beauty Supernova Crush Diamond Highlighter. For highlighter people, this is a highlighter people highlighter. It's so pretty. And then the pale one that you can really barely see right here, that is probably my favorite just milky highlight, is the Cover FX Moonlight. And I love it much. And so you can see that my highlighters, you know, I try and stay in the same family of pinky, champagne, rose gold, rose quartz kind of things, and they all flatter me pretty darn well. I enjoy them. Anyway, that's just some reference points for you guys. As far as the highlights, I just think that each one kind of accomplishes a different thing. If you're going for a shimmer highlight, the ILIA is going to be a little bit better. Like you're going to get a little bit more pow, whereas the KOSAS I feel like gives you more of almost a pigment highlight. You know, it's going to give you just like a brightening without a lot of shimmer. And then, you know, you go to Milk and Aether if what you're really looking for is what-pow. Okay, I'm going to throw on the rest of my makeup real quick and I'll be right back. We will talk about the pricing, the ingredients, the claims on all of these, and the shade ranges, and I will give you guys my final thoughts. Cool, cool, cool. See you in a minute. Okay, so this is the final look with all the rest of my makeup on. I feel like we managed to get a really, really lovely, lightweight face of makeup out of this, even though it is a powder look. I did want to call out the fact that what I am wearing underneath this, and I kind of waffled between the two, was I'm actually wearing the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, the Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer in Fair 2W, but I could just as easily have gone with my Bite Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation in L10. And the reason that I want to go with either of those is because they are foundations that lend themselves really well to powder, because I mean, some people can make it work. I've never been able to make it work putting a bronzer powder right on top of a foundation without powdering it first. And a lot of the foundations that I have in my collection either are more high coverage than I want to wear right now for a look like this, like the Milk, the Flex Foundation Stick, this guy. this is what I initially tried this with, and I just ended up with too much makeup on my face. And the other way to go would be something like the ILIA Super Serum Skin Tint or something, which I just don't feel comfortable kind of putting a whole bunch of powder on top of because it's just gonna soak it up. It's just very dewy. So those are just my personal instincts. That's why I wanted to go with this, because it's a little bit lower coverage. I don't have to wear as much of it on my face. It's very, very lightweight, and it spreads out pretty thinly, but it will still hold its own when I'm trying a powder look, so that I just ended up with something that was, yes, a powder look, but also looked effortless and not like I was, you know, going to my own wedding or something. You know, I top out really easily on putting too much makeup on my face, and then I just want to claw it all off. That's just how I am. Oh, and I want to say I did use all of those products that we just tried on my face from ILIA and KOSAS for my eye look. So I did the kind of top portion of my eyes with the ILIA bronzer and the ILIA highlighter, and then I just did the KOSAS underneath my eyes because it's a little bit blendier and a little bit shinier. So that's what you're seeing. All right, let's talk first about KOSAS. So the KOSAS Moisturizing Baked Bronzer comes in 3 shades, light, medium, and deep. Like I said, I got light. It is $34. Good Clean Sun. This is a clean, moisturizing baked bronzer made with shea butter to give you that glow your skin gets in really pretty sunset light. The Sun Show in Light is a light champagne bronze. So champagne, obviously it's going to have shimmer to it. Moisturizing, talc-free, silicone-free. So shea butter, metafoam oil, baked together, give you the creamiest payoff, never dry, always golden. So what they're going for is a creamy powder. You know, such a thing can exist. Easiest bronzer ever. The weightless formula effortlessly sweeps on for silky smooth finish. I will say, sweeping didn't work for me. I tried that the first time. Like I said, I don't fault them for that. I think that it is probably user error, or my brush is not being perfectly clean or something like that. I just have never really gotten a bronzer to go on my face at a sweeping motion evenly. I always dab. That is the KOSAS, like I said, $34, and for your $34, you get 0.21 ounces or 6 grams. Let's talk about ILIA NiteLite Bronzing Powder. Comes in 2 shades. It is also $34, which makes them very easy to compare to one another. And for your $34, you get 0.26 ounces or 7.47 grams. So if you plan on panning this, the ILIA is going to be a little bit better of a value for your money. They are both, by the way, in a soft touch plastic. So just if that matters to you, it's important to consider packaging. So what it is, a clean, talc-free, finely milled powder that delivers a natural bronze look, buttery soft textures, blend easily, and can build from a natural sun-kissed glow to a more dramatic payoff. Sun-kissed with a silky soft touch, this supremely blendable matte powder is finely milled with a subtle sheen for luminous finish and a natural warmth that you can dial up in intensity for a stronger contour. Gonna disagree with you on that part, but the rest of it I feel like holds true. It is buildable, it is blurring, it is matte with a tiny bit of satin. So on the ILIA website, as far as their mica is concerned, the only thing that they really say is that we use FDA approved food grade dyes. That's all I say as far as carmine mica, etc. And KOSAS website doesn't mention it either, so I don't know. I don't know. I did just reach out to ILIA. If they respond to me before this video goes up, I will let you guys know. I did actually end up reaching out to both of them, and ILIA was really, really fast to respond. They said, "Hi there, yes, 1000%. We work closely with our suppliers to ensure these values, as always upheld. Each manufacturer has to provide a certificate to ensure ethical practices are in place." So they are using ethical and child labor-free mica, and you know, just because they don't say it on their website doesn't necessarily mean we should assume the worst. KOSAS is probably doing fine too, they just haven't gotten back to me. I have owned a couple of different ILIA highlighters previous to this. I have their stick highlighter in polka dots and moonbeams. I absolutely love this. But I used to also have their highlighter serum, which I think is just a complete waste of money. Don't buy that, it's just not a very good product. It's like not usable. I'm not gonna go off on a rant on it, but it's one of those like shimmer goo situations that doesn't really have like a practical purpose. So this comes in 2 shades. The Daylight Highlighting Powder comes in a fairer shade called Decades, which is what I have, and then a more rose gold kind of deeper shade called Starstruck. What it is, a clean talc-free finely milled powder that delivers an illuminating glow. Buttery soft textures blend easily and can create a subtle shimmer or a more dramatic highlight. I would definitely say that this is buildable. Metallic finish adds depth and dimension to high points of the face, includes a built-in mirror for easy on-the-go application. As far as the ingredients are concerned, this does have dimethicone in it, so that is a little bit interesting. There's a little bit of silicone in there. It doesn't bother me at all, but just an interesting piece of information. Talc-free, fragrance-free, cruelty-free, recyclable packaging, and vegan. Very interesting that they say that this is recyclable packaging. Okie dokie. I don't mind that. That's fine with me. Okay, let's talk final thoughts on these real quick. Not just on these, but on what I would recommend, you know, in the grand scale of bronzers and highlights. So if I had to pick between the two of the bronzers, the choice is pretty simple for me, and that is that I prefer the ILIA just because I feel like it gives me more evenness, it gives me more blurring, it gives me more control, whereas the KOSAS I feel like does accentuate texture that I don't really have, and it just doesn't allow for a whole lot of control just because you do end up building shimmer so quickly with it, and that's just not my preference. As far as highlighters are concerned, I really, really like this ILIA highlighter. I would say that it is somewhere like right in between the Milk highlighter and like the Cover FX highlighter. You know, Cover FX is gonna be nice and creamy, the Milk is gonna be a little bit more wapow, but this is just right there in the happy medium, and I do feel like if this is like the only highlighter that you buy or the only highlighter that you own, you're gonna have a lot of options with it because you can get just a really nice soft sheen from it, but if you put on a lot, you can get almost like an eyeshadow kind of metallic payoff from it. That said, I do think that like while the highlighter is kind of a standalone, I am not sure that I would necessarily, if you have my skin tone, recommend either of these. And that is just because I don't feel like the actual shades are super, super natural on me. Like if you look at it, it doesn't sync up to me. You might disagree with me, and I do have contour on underneath it, like I said, that's probably helping to balance it out a little bit. I just feel like this is the Arrive is a better bronzer for pale skin. It just has that beautiful depth to it. Well, I shouldn't say depth. It has that beautiful coolness to it, that neutral quality to it that is just a different breed of bronzer that just looks so much more believable on me. And that is why if you are that viewer who literally watches my channel and always wants to know what the actual shade that I'm using is because you always know that that's going to be the one that works for you, I wouldn't necessarily recommend these on actual shade. I would recommend the ILIA highlighter, absolutely, but the ILIA bronzer on formula, yes. On shade, not necessarily. If you really, really have like a very similar complexion to mine or paler, I would go for something that has a little bit more neutral undertone to it. Even if you are deeper toned than I am, I would say that if you are looking for that neutral tone and you don't want that oranginess, or you don't want anything close to oranginess, the Thrive Rhea is a really, really good option, and it is matte, so it has a really nice buildability. But if what you are looking for, what you are actually shopping for, is the beautiful, like sun-kissed golden glow, and that is a thing that looks natural on your skin, I would highly recommend the ILIA, just because the ILIA, I feel like, is a more natural looking formula. Those are my very conditional thoughts on all of these things. If you guys have any additional questions about these products down below, or any more information that you know about them, like whether or not KOSAS and or ILIA are actually using child labor-free mica, let me know. I would love to be more educated on all of those things. But I hope that this was a valuable comparison for you guys and it equipped you with the information that you feel like you might have needed in order to make a decision on your next bronzer or highlighter purchase. So if you did enjoy this, guys, do give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today, guys. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.